Hello, everyone, and welcome to the post-Bachelor live chat stream, where we're going to be talking about everything that just went on with the 3-hour episode of The Bachelor, and there was a lot that went on. Now, thanks for everyone who's joining us here, and for anyone who's new to this stream, we really only have a couple of rules here. Number one, please no posting outright spoilers in the comment section below. Anything that's sleuthed out or, found out through whatever means that is not just a complete outright spoiler, totally welcome. Other than that, just be kind to each other. No spamming. Let's start talking.
Don't let her go. Don't let her go.
So, 3 hours of The Bachelor tonight, and we'll try to keep this, we're going to keep this one fairly short and sweet tonight, this live stream, because there's 3 hours to recap tomorrow, and it's late. It's late for a lot of people. It's late for me, so we're going to keep it clear. And there's so much to talk about that I really like. I'm really interested in just hearing what people have to say, and let's just respond to it. And also, Diana Bell, thank you for welcome to the membership club. Thanks for becoming a member, and enjoy the emotes, and thank you for supporting the stream. And someone said, is this season bad? And I have a lot of opinions on that. And ultimately, I think there's a lot wrong with this season. And the number one thing is that there's pretty much almost no romance. Right? And the problem with that is if there's no romance in the show, and there's a lot of reasons why there's no romance in the show, but if there's no romance in the show, we don't care about whether or not Peter ends up or with anyone, or any of these women end up with Peter. And if we don't care if Peter's ending up with anybody, why, how invested can we get? So yeah, people are saying they're beginning to irritate me, and that's not the first time I've heard that from people. So, the season is bad because Peter needs a backbone, and Peter is certainly a factor. It's not, but it's not entirely Peter. I think there's a lot of reasons, and primarily it's that it's all drama. No romance. Did everyone survive those 3 hours? Barely. And sort of the big drama that finished the night was Tammy and Kelsey, and this whole thing about Tammy calling out Kelsey for drinking too much and apparently saying popping pills. And Fancy Pants, thank you for the super chat. Why was tonight 3 hours? Did I miss something, or are the producers just dragging out extra airtime? I honestly, this episode, I feel like it could have been 2 hours. And there's no, I don't know. Did it feel like this had to be 3 hours? I don't know. Probably the reason is something along the lines of because they can get people to watch for 3 hours, and so that's good for ABC, especially in January. So maybe they were like, hey, let's do this. And they were like, sure, we'll throw in, 20 minutes of Peter making out with Sydney on their one-on-one date to add time. But yeah, no, I'm not entirely sure why, unless I've missed something. But because it's not only like 3 hours tonight, but it's 2 hours on Wednesday, and I don't know. Maybe Peter's just trying to rush through this season so he can get to the fantasy suite. No shade, Peter. No shade. A little bit of shade, but no. Yeah, so we ended up through this whole episode on Tammy and Kelsey having this sort of drama, which I feel like was rooted in other stuff. So, one, I have to mention that the whole start of this argument actually came from Victoria F. Didn't she casually drop that that Kelsey said something like she's the realest bitch here? And then Tammy went wait, what? She said what? And then that started the whole drama. Then there was everything with Sydney and it's kind of getting exhausting because, Sydney said, I never said anything about Aliyah. And she did. We have footage from the couple of episodes. Now, here's what she was thinking, because I looked back at this, and the actual conversation that Sydney had with Peter during that date was, she said, I have the actual quotes here, just one sec. So she said, just the imagery of this makes girls I think I have a recording of it, actually. One second. Let me make sure here.
Just the imagery of this makes girls not be themselves, or put on a facade that you might really, really like in the beginning.
And then she continues to say, and then when you're in real life, realize that it's not real. And Peter goes on to say, so you definitely do see that some of these girls maybe aren't being very genuine with me. And that leads to Peter eventually, in front of everybody, sitting down and saying, Sydney, can you, sorry to put you on the spot, but can you tell who the fake people are? Who are you talking about there? And then she points out, Aliyah. Almost like she sort of is saying, she's saying everything but Aliyah's name. And then when Peter asks, wait, who are you talking about? She goes, oh, well, since you asked, Aliyah. So maybe that's kind of her position on, I never brought up your name. Peter asked me to, but she pretty much did everything but bring up her name. So talk about Sydney's yearbook. And then that was another huge tweet that I was, someone added me at. So on top of that, you know how Sydney was talking about in this episode, her experience in high school and, kind of how tough that was. And then someone on Twitter posted yearbook photos or something from Sydney, saying who wants the tea, and there's all these photos of Sydney looking, in pageants with a boyfriend and upperclassman top beauty, which one thing I will say, it definitely feels a little bit suspicious, but you never know what someone's going through at that time, even if you never know. But at the end of the day, it's all feeling a bit suspicious. How is Sydney's sob story fake? It seemed like she went through some rough times. Yeah, and this is sort of this post from someone who I guess went to high school with Sydney, seems to imply that they believe she is being fake about that. But again, you never know what someone's going through. But there are a couple things here where you go, I don't know. Can you please talk about McKenna's tongue? Yeah, it was... McKenna she's having a lot of reactions. Yeah, her tongue was all over... not necessarily all over Peter, but all over this episode. I'm sure that'll make an appearance in a recap tomorrow. Yeah, no, and people, and it's a fair point to say Sydney's story isn't fake. You can be a pageant girl and still experience, racism and bullying. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. And it's something that's blown up on Twitter, and I'm kind of just reporting that at the moment. And it's very true. You can have good and bad and experience a lot of horrible stuff. You never know what someone's going through. So yes, and Kelly, this episode getting some one-on-one time, calling out Peter. I loved how she called out Peter, saying like, you kind of reward the drama, and that was pretty cool. Mostly because for a moment it was like, hey, is this we talk a lot. A lot of people talk who would be a Bachelorette for from this group. And like last episode we have Kelsey actually kind of acting normal, and now she's back in the drama. But hey, with the way the producers have been pushing drama this season, they might like Kelsey as Bachelorette. But Kelly seeming like to have a reasonable head on her shoulders. So if she, I'd say that that's a possibility. I don't feel like Kelly likes Peter. Yeah, I know. This episode, she wasn't having it with him. So that was my thought. But maybe that's going to be her downfall. Like if she's out here saying, "Hey, Peter, what the heck? I'm going to be real with you, and I'm not going to, just kind of fawn over you this date. You kind of have been sucky, and she's not been in the drama, at least from what we've seen. Maybe that's not what they want, Kelsey has been a part of the drama, but she at points has shown, like maturity. I would, say her one-on-one date with Peter, she seemed to be really mature about, Peter bringing up the whole Aliyah business, and her being like, yeah, I'd rather you be certain about your decision than wonder what could have been. And then, back to the drama. And think about night one with Kelsey. All those champagne references. The people at The Bachelor would love that. So, Hannah, yes, and this is also something I noticed. Someone said, Hannah Ann's staying out of the drama. It's refreshing. Yeah, I was thinking this has been the best thing possible for Hannah Ann. Remember, like, the first 2 episodes, people were all over Hannah Ann. That she's been so out of the drama. So it's been a good few episodes for her. So and that should tell you something, like when someone is just like, there's so much drama that when someone is just not in it, people start to gravitate towards them. They're like, someone else had just said, like, why do I like Hannah Ann now? And not everyone is going to think that, but no longer part of the drama. There's so many other women right now who are, occupying the drama space. So yeah, there's so much drama, and I mean, like it's a weird season in that like the fault is not on the women, the fault is not on Peter. It's like a little bit on everybody. There's a little bit of the cast is not fantastic because there's so much drama and cattiness going on. Peter is not exactly making the greatest decisions in life. Like, okay, imagine, I mean, maybe he's just thinking in the moment here when he's giving that rose to Kelsey at the end there. But come on. You've been dealing with so much drama this season, and the women reacting and, being really peeved, and in many cases rightfully peeved at you. And you decide to like give one of the people in the center of all this drama a rose so that she can take that rose and go back to the women and show them all what's up. And like, how do you think Tammy feels as well after that, right? So I don't know. That to me, like, maybe he was just thinking, I want to express to Kelsey that, I trust her and I'm here with her. But I feel like there's ways that you can do that without bringing a rose back into it and creating more drama. I don't know. So he hasn't been making, I don't think, the smartest decisions. So, just, whew, it's been a rough one so far, and yeah, and at the end of the day, we like it could also be Peter, if he's someone who's trying to be super accommodating, is he trying to be super accommodating for the producers too? And now the producers are getting free reign over this season, right? And Priscilla, thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks for supporting the stream. I thought Sydney was sweet on night one. Now she seems manipulative, and I just want her to leave. And that's like, I think you could insert so many names into that sentence tonight, and it would have the same effect. There's so many. It just seems to be the case with a lot of women, or at least at certain points in the season. But definitely, I'm not a fan either of Sydney. At this moment in time. I mean, like you can so like we can go back to when the real drama with Sydney started, when we first started seeing the drama with Sydney, which was the pillow fight thing and Aliyah. And we can talk all you want about Aliyah and whether or not she was genuine and all that sort of stuff. But I felt even at that point that Sydney, I don't know, it was a little extra, her hatred towards Aliyah. And it's just sort of continued from there. And so I've also not been a huge, I've not been a Sydney stan, so. But you have to give credit to Aliyah for keeping her composure through all of the attacks. Aliyah never yelled back and never said a single negative thing about another girl there in any interviews. And ultimately, at the end of the day, for the sake of like coming back and then immediately being sent away, Aliyah, whatever you want to say about her, I think she got played a little bit dirty And if my sort of opinion on that right now, thinking about it just for the moment, is that Aliyah, she might seem fake just because she's been a pageant, queen all her her life. But she might be doing that and it feels fake, but she's just kind of like she's had to put on like a presentation so much of her life that this is just what she knows. And yeah, it means we're not going to see that like raw or vulnerable part of her that most people can relate to, because most people aren't they're not pageant people. But it can come across fake. So, and if Peter sent home Aliyah, he should have sent home Victoria P and Sydney too. Yeah, there was a lot of it seemed to me this episode that Peter sending Aliyah home was just kind of like, this is the simplest solution, right? Like if I just send her home, the women will be happy and I can move on from this. And I think that's might have been a factor there, right? And Demi just tweeted, on my season, people tried to say I was mean. I was just annoyed by unnecessary confrontation and drunk. These girls are malicious. And yeah, you also like when you start to think about what is going on here, things make a little more sense. These women they do nothing all day except wake up, be in whatever place they are. They have no phones. They have the only access that they have to the outside world is through like producers. And they wait for Peter to bring a date card and the cameras to come around, and they sit there and they talk to each other. And they have like unlimited supply of food or whatever, and drinks. So it's no wonder, that people can get annoyed as heck. I'd be annoyed in that situation. So here's a question. Do you like Madison? She's my favorite. I can absolutely see why she's your favorite. Do I like Madison? I don't know. I don't dislike her. I think we've obviously seen her involved in like no drama, and they cut to her every now and then, with her being a little cute with Peter. But I would want to see more this season has been so filled with drama that I need to see more to really root for the two of them to get together. And this might change. We're going to get to a point where we're going to be down to the final 6 and the final 4. And usually in a season, once you get down to that final 4, they say, okay, enough of the drama. We're going to start working on this, romance thing. We need to get people to start to believe that he's going to propose to someone. Unless, of course, the ending is unconventional, which it looks like it might be for the season. Or there's more drama to be had. So, yes, I do like Madison. But do I like her in the way that I've rooted for other people in the past? I'm not sure about that. Yes, and someone said, drama is actually fun to watch. And I 100% agree with you there. And drama is an incredibly important part of any season of The Bachelor. But it shouldn't be the most important part. The romance should be supported by the drama, not the other way around, right? Like, the whole premise of the show is romance. And the drama is the added factor that ups the stakes. It makes us more invested in couples because you see Peter, connecting with someone, and then all of a sudden there's drama and it puts that relationship into jeopardy. Or you go, oh, maybe this isn't the way it should be. This other person or this other coupling is better. But this season, it feels a little more like the drama, and then that's supplemented by a little bit of romance. And at the end of the day, if there's only are we feeling like invested in Peter actually finding love, or in Peter finding love with any of these other women? And James, thank you for the super chat. Conspiracy theory, final day, Chris tells Peter that ABC chose to go with Mike instead. So that's why there's no current ending. And then we start all over again. New episode, night 1. Yeah. No, I think, so I follow Mike on Twitter now, I followed him, since at least the end of The Bachelorette. And Mike can be cheesy. His tweets can be cheesy. Then there's things of people saying, because he was dating potentially like Demi Lovato and all this sort of stuff. But do you think it would have been? Like this if Mike was the Bachelor? I don't know. But, anyways, I think ultimately the drama is incredibly important, but it shouldn't be the only thing. Do you like Peter's actions? I think Peter's actions are questionable. Not necessarily in terms of, I could see a world where Peter makes a decision and he thinks it's a great one in the moment, but there's not a lot of forethought. So, I guess, in defense of Peter's actions, he could be thinking this is the right thing to do in the moment, but, there's a lot of domino effect to them that he might not be thinking about. It might not, be all him just trying to, accommodate the producers, or the producers just tell him what to do. He might be thinking this is the right thing to do. Like, as I said before, the example with giving Kelsey a rose in that moment. Although there was a rose just kind of ready in his back pocket, I will say. But that decision could have been him just thinking, oh, this is going to make her feel so much better, and I want to do that, without thinking of the consequences of what it's going to be like when she walks back to the cabana or whatever and is carrying a rose saying, hey guys, guess what? Yeah, I thought Peter would make better decisions. Who could have known? Well, who could have thought this? Because Peter was incredibly likable, I think, as far as what most people saw and felt from the end of a season on The Bachelor, right? So who do you think could be Bachelorette? My conspiracy theory is that Kelsey is a good candidate, based off of not based off of who I want necessarily, but who the people at The Bachelor might like to choose. We've got, she's dramatic. She can show maturity, like on her one-on-one date with Peter the other episode. And all those champagne references, they're perfect. Like all the pilot and windmill references we got at night 1. But this episode, Kelly gave, like, in a real, like, if you're talking about who at this moment I like for that, I think, but like there's so many. An easy choice for Bachelorette would be You have like someone like Madison go far and not win. You have someone like Kelly go far and not win. You have someone like Victoria P go far and not win. And like there's a lot of the times it's that it we won't know until it comes down to that final area there and see who legitimately could be, the pick. Natasha for Bachelorette. I would put that one at a long shot. But like I said, Kelsey, not necessarily who I in this moment am like, yes, let's make her it. But I think, I don't know, maybe I'm off here, but I think like if I was a producer, what would I want? I want someone who is going to make good TV, who can show a genuine desire to find love, and so that aspect can be played upon in the show. She's obviously said she's, this episode falling in love with Peter, and she's obviously going to stick around. It looks like she has at least one more one-on-one coming up at some point. So I'd say that at least buys her a week or two at minimum. And the thing that I might, if I was a producer like on the show right now, after this episode, you might be going, can we, control, as weird as it is to say, Kelly, right? Can we control her? She speaks her mind. Can we do that? But there are additional factors in choosing a bachelorette or bachelor. Public opinion, it can sway a lot. So sometimes that wins out more than anything. So someone's saying Aliyah is getting the Hannah B edit. I think it's way too early. Like at this point, to have someone come out as Bachelorette in any way like that, way too early. Now that being said, Aliyah is for sure, I would say, someone we'd see in Paradise. So. Yeah, and we haven't seen a good 2-on-1 in a while. Yeah, hey, Kelsey and Tammy, maybe? I don't know. That seems like a good 2-on-1 setup. Who knows? And they've been liking to do that 3-on-1 thing lately too. Like you have 3 women, then one of them gets or men or whatever, and one gets a rose. Then it's kind of like a 2-on-1, and one goes home. But possible 2-on-1 predictions, yeah, like Tammy and Kelsey is kind of the one that seems obvious from this episode, but who knows? Maybe I don't know who else would there be. That one I guess seems the most obvious for now. Likelihood of a 2-on-1, if they're continuing the way that they do, like I think they like to do that. They like to do that once it gets down to the final 6. They have 3 1-on-1s and then a 3-on-1. That's what they've done the last couple of times. Maybe they'll change it, but that's what they've done the last couple of times. Where the 3-on-1, like the 3-on-1 last Bachelorette was Mike got a 1-on-1 and he went home on the 1-on-1. Jed and Tyler got 1-on-1s and they got roses. And then they had a 3-on-1 with Garrett, Luke P, and Peter. Peter got the first rose, and then it was down to Luke P and Garrett, and Luke P got the rose. And then there's your final 4. And they did the sort of same thing kind kind of an Colton season where it was a bunch of women, never been kissed, went home early, and she kind of put herself out, and it was down to Kirpa, Cassie, and Hannah G. And Hannah B had a one-on-one, and she was sent home. And Kaylin had a one-on-one and got a rose. And Hannah G got the rose, and then it was down to Kirpa and Cassie got the rose, and they had the whole thing with Kaylin coming back and vouching for Cassie storyline. So it seems to be that's something that fits for them right now. So we'll see. And like, you know, we're gonna find, like, we're getting down there, because there's an episode Wednesday, and I imagine there's going to be another rose ceremony Wednesday, and we're in South America next on Wednesday in a couple days. So and also another thing, there's so much this episode. They had the group date with the Cosmo cover, and Cosmo has announced that they are not going to put the Victoria F's cover on. A lot of stuff going on this episode, not necessarily just in the show too. So yeah, so they show us Peter with his head cut, but not Kirpa getting her chin cut. I know, we had to... They did show that, like, on YouTube, actually. Or they showed, like, a deleted scene, like the Bachelor, ABC, whatever, YouTube channel showed it. So, yeah, didn't Kendall and Joe break up? Yes, they broke up. They broke up. Heartbreaking. But, you know. Why aren't they posting her cover? Because of the... so there was images came out of Victoria F in wearing a thing that said WLM for White Lives Matter. And then then people said it wasn't White Lives Matter, it was like Marlin. It was about like Marlins or whatever. And it was like Marlin Lives Matter or something like that. And ultimately Cosmo said, either way, it's in ill taste, and we are not. We are not going to showcase that. And Savannah, thank you for the super chat. Luke P for president. I don't know. Maybe not. I won't be caucusing for Luke P anytime soon. But thank you for supporting the stream, and thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. But yeah, it was the Marlins, but it was very poor taste. And either way, it's regardless of how you want to look at it, I think it was ultimately a stupid decision no matter what. Yeah, it was White Lives Matter for White Marlin. Either way, it's all in very poor taste. And Cosmo decided that either way, they didn't care. And James, thank you for the super chat. Ultimate date group circle with lie detectors. I know, at this point in the season, we need that. Peter needs that. Peter needs some direction here. He needs some help. But yeah. So we are going to be coming to the end of the live stream here. It's late, and we've got a 3-hour episode to recap tomorrow. Then we get a break, and it's back to it for Wednesday. Another episode. And Justine, thank you for the super chat. I still can't believe they made Tammy the villain. They've made everyone the villain this season. It just seems like they're all sharing. They're all taking their turn. And I don't know, like, is Tammy the villain? I think there's just, everyone's just caught up in drama, and mostly I'm a little bit over it, but it doesn't look like it's going to be ending really soon. The ambulance fake out, yeah, it was totally just Peter. So yes, let's, if you have any last questions, who's the better bachelor, Peter or Colton? Here's an interesting question, because I actually was thinking about this today, like while watching the episode, and something that was interesting. So I talked a little bit, and I've heard some other people talk about, like, is Peter too accommodating to the producers, right? And so they're getting away with all this drama and these shenanigans and everything. Apparently, Colton was someone who was not very accommodating, or at least in a couple of ways. So I'd heard, and again, this is like from stuff months back, so I'm kind of just reaching here a bit like on what exactly was said, but so first there was like the whole gate jump thing, and he kind of went after Cassie and changed up the narrative at the end there. But apparently, Colton said something like the producers asked him to rank the women based off of what he was feeling like at that day or in that moment of who he was feeling the strongest feelings for, and then they purposely distanced him from his top picks to kind of like shake things up and get him to go in different directions and not just focus on like a few people. And he eventually figured that out and started to put fake names, I think. Anyways, and I was kind of thinking, like, I kind of admire that now, like in this season where it feels like a little bit of the opposite. So maybe like, at this moment I'm thinking Colton. But yes, no, and people are saying Colton's women really did carry the season. I 100% agree with that too. I feel like that was a strong cast that season. Who's been your favorite Bachelor ever? Well, I did do a video ranking the seasons of The Bachelor. And you can go check out that video if you want to know what my ranking is. But I'll just tell you, I put Sean Lowe's season as number 1. But you can see the full ranking, the full list there on that video. Yes, Chris Harrison at the end doing the witness protection program. Yeah, there's way too much producer puppetry this season. It's killing the romance in the romance. Are they doing it because they were worried Peter wouldn't get good ratings? I don't. Maybe they have found that the more dramatic they've gotten, the more the ratings have gone up, and so they're just pushing into that. But definitely, like we can deal with a little bit of producer puppetry, right? We can know when something feels a little bit produced. But we're okay with it up to a certain point. And it feels like this season they've passed that point. What do you think of the pregnancy rumor? I know there's some people who've like, ooh, is Peter like to someone pregnant at the end? And that's the unconventional thing. I think it's a stretch, personally. Please, and Jackie, thank you for the super chat. Please do a joke about McKenna's tongue on your next video. It was getting more screen time than half the women this season have so far. Like poor Sheehan. Time to go home, Sheehan. You deserve better. She's had a rough time. So, I think the drama would work if Peter was the main focus of it, but it's not so. That's why we didn't care. Yeah, and I think it's taken the front seat when it should support the romance. So yeah, McKenna's tongue, Shakira's tongue, Super Bowl conspiracy. All right, so will you be waiting until Wednesday's episode? This will be the last question. To do a recap like Bachelor in Paradise? No, I'm going to be doing one tomorrow, and then we're back at it Wednesday for the show, and then another one for Thursday. So there's going to be 2 videos this week, 2 recaps this week, and then I'll fit in a maybe I won't do a preview breakdown for in between, tomorrow and Wednesday, but I'll do one for after that. So thank you, everyone, for joining in on this late live stream after 3 hours of Bachelor drama and craziness. Thanks for joining us and chatting and just being awesome. We're going to be back tomorrow for a recap, then back again for Wednesday for another episode. There's a lot of Bachelor's week, so get your rest. And until then, Bachelor Fantake out. Have a good night, everyone.